Hey, Brad, if you're talking to me, I sure can't hear you, but I imagine that we're talking about bike racing right now. So it's great to be here for day two in Wisconsin today. Can't wait to see what the racing action is going to have at us. So it's going to be a good day. Excited for some bike racing and see what Brian Hodges has to pull out, and Jacqueline Godby. Should be a good, fun day of racing.
Can you hear me now?
Gotcha.
That was on my end. I apologize, Lauren. You were right. We were talking about bike racing for the second stop of the Echelon Racing League. Good call. Good guess on what we're doing today. Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it on our second day. Brian Hodges, Jackie Godby yesterday. Huge wins for them. But we got a whole season of racing here at the Echelon Racing League. And I think the biggest thing that we learned yesterday in our women's race was we're finally going to have a worthy match for Jackie Godby this year. The biggest thing we learned in our men's race is that this is really anyone's field this year. So you saw we knocked out the Indy Crit yesterday, Tour of America's Dairyland today, and then Gateway Cup is our next stop on the 18th of December. We'll go to the Iron Horse Bicycle Classic after that on the 19th, and then Tour of the Gila, Tulsa Tough, Intelligentsia, and Joe Martin. Lauren, I know you mentioned yesterday, Iron Horse, one of your favorites right in your backyard.
Yeah, actually, and come as a sprinter, I enjoy going up to 10,000, 11,000 feet over the passes, racing the train, hence the Iron Horse name. It's in the backyard. It's a lot of fun, and anybody that wants to should come in real life. It's a really great event.
You can also participate virtually if you're not in the Pro League here in the Echelon Racing League. They also have the Community League every week, and we're going to be running a parallel schedule there. So if you want to do the Iron Horse Bicycle Classic Community Race, that one happens December 12th. It usually happens a week before the Pro Series. So this is our Amateur League schedule. Again, if you want to participate, you can find echelonracingleague.com, and you can sign up for any of the Amateur League events there. You don't have to do the entire series. You don't have to sign up for the full year. So it's always nice when you can kind of get a chance to ride the course that was later on in the week. Special trophy this year for the Echelon Racing League, the NFT trophy that everyone has been talking about, the non-fungible token that you can trade or sell or put in a JPEG and display on your desktop, whatever you want to do with your NFT. The Pro Women's and Pro Men's overall race winners, or series winners, I should say, will be getting these custom Echelon Racing League NFT jersey trophies. Pretty cool. I like them. I think it's cool. I'm excited to see Echelon Racing League kind of moving into the 21st century. I don't know about you, Lauren.
Hey, I would take one of these in a heartbeat, and maybe this is the reason that we're seeing some really good racing so far. So yeah, hey, let's do it, NFT. Why not?
Well, let's take a look at some of the riders competing for our NFT today as we get ready for our Pro Men's race first up today, followed by Pro Women, Paracycling, and Hand Cycling in our second slot of including Brian Hodges, another one today. Let's go back and take a look at how Hodges won on the Indy Crit yesterday, first stop of the Echelon Racing League. The start was very similar to what we saw last year. Big group of riders trying to get away. We saw a few attacks early on, but Lauren, they really had trouble getting any significant breakaways in the men's field.
Yeah, it was many people trying to get off the front. Rebel gave it a go. Hodges even gave it a go a couple of times. But yeah, it just came down to a field sprint in the end.
We did see Jaden Yeager trying to get away. We saw Bruce Bird go up to try to join him. Eventually, though, it would be Zach Nair of the Project Echelon team. Really, this was the big break of the day, if you want to call it that. It only got up to 10, maybe 15 seconds, and that was pretty much the biggest gap that we saw. But if Yeager and Nair couldn't do it, that means it's darn near impossible to get away on a day like this in the Pro Men's field. So that set up this field sprint. Gallop to the line, but Hodges buried right in the middle of this group. As they go around that final turn, he finds his way to the front, and Brian Hodges surges through the group to take the first win of the Echelon Racing League. Big win for Hodges as a XXX Racing rider. Comes in just ahead of Matt Usborne. Usborne almost got there for the Above and Beyond Cancer team, and then Ben Thomas also in the mix up there into fifth for Team Tour 2000. So Jan Deca slots in for third yesterday. Sam Morris in fourth. A lot of familiar names here from last year as well. Walter Claes in seventh was one of the draft pickups from our Echelon Racing League community draft, and then Will Harden also getting in there along with Mike Lister in 8th, and then William Zugay in for 10th place, rounding out the top 10. So, Lauren, I'm wondering if we see many of the same names today and how similar today will be to yesterday. The course today just a little bit different from what we saw yesterday. 8 turns out there on day number 1 for the Indy Crit today. They're only doing 6 turns on our course in virtual Grafton, Wisconsin, just north of Milwaukee. It's 6 corners, but Lauren, the thing that everyone talks about on this course in Grafton is the false flat uphill finish. After they come out of that corner 6, it's a slow rise and a long run out of the last turn. I've seen a lot of the in real life races decided on this last gallop out of the final turn.
Yeah, Brad, usually as a sprinter, when you make that last turn and you kind of look at the finish, sometimes you can kind of go a little bit too early, especially if there's an uphill drag in this finish. It'll catch some people off guard and they don't have the push to continue through to the finish line. So, yeah, an uphill will definitely change the dynamics of a sprint.
25 laps out there today. They did 27 yesterday, but because there's a little bit more elevation gain today, they do a few less laps. You'll see they'll pick up just under 900 feet total. So it's not a lot. It doesn't seem like a lot while you're doing it, but that course will very slowly eat that up, and you're going to feel that elevation gain. Again, 6 turns. The RGT platform will apply those turns to the physics. We're going to talk about that during the race, as this is really a cool course in Grafton, Wisconsin. One of my favorites of the Tour of America's Dairyland. Lauren, this is classic American bike racing at the Tour of America's Dairyland. 10 days of Midwest crit racing. It doesn't get better than this.
Yeah, you have an opportunity every single day over those 10 days to perfect your sprint, to try and get into the rhythm with your teammates, and going into Discord today with your teammates. So this is, again, we raced yesterday, we're racing today, a different location, but yeah, we are so lucky to have back-to-back racing like we do at America's Dairyland.
I want to bring in Echelon Racing League Director Eric Hill from the Project Echelon team, who's taken the week off from racing to finally watch one of his own races. Eric, how are you enjoying the view from the office chair instead of the saddle this week?
Oh, it's been great, and it's just been fun to jump on Discord with the guys from a different perspective, a little bit more of a management perspective, and just listening to them suffer and not being a part of the suffering. A different perspective for sure, and it's been really enjoyable. Yesterday was outstanding racing, outstanding broadcast, and I know we're gonna have a great show today.
Eric, this is a special one for Project Echelon because Grafton is not far from where you guys are based. This is a Wisconsin race for a Wisconsin team.
Yeah, and actually, hey, we are in Tosa Village today, Brad, and I was actually in Tosa Village last night. I was at camp. I was drinking some beers and hanging out with a bunch of cyclists. And so really excited to be able to be on the virtual roads of Tosa Village today, too.
It's like Toad is already here. It's like we already made it to the Tour of America's Dairyland. All right, so let's check out Tosa Village as we are inside of 1 minute to race start here for our elite men. Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great show, and excited to get this thing going.
All right, well, Lauren, as we talked about the start yesterday, incredibly important here on the RGT platform. What you're really looking for is riders to ratchet up their power early on, and they want to be at maximum power on the line. This is one thing that you learn very quickly. I know you learned this in your first race on RGT.
Yeah, for sure. Just like we saw yesterday, everybody goes straight into the red. I don't even know how many seconds or even a full lap. But yeah, it's full gas from the gun, and then some settling in. And just like real live racing, start the conversation, start talking to your director. I would have liked to have known from Eric what he told his athletes yesterday and what they're going to talk about today. But maybe we'll get back to that.
All right, this is going to be Payne Griffin on the front. Now, this is almost exactly the way that this went yesterday with Griffin getting away early. He was one of our early attackers yesterday, and you can see he's staying in this red zone for a long time. Bold move here from Payne Griffin.
That's what I'm saying. They must do some sort of warm up for sure. For like they've been on the trainer now for at least 30 minutes. I would say probably just warming up, just like you do in a real race. You go out and pedal around, make sure all your gears are working, make sure your legs are warmed up, your central nervous system is tapped and ready to go. So yeah, these guys have definitely been preparing for today, this morning, for sure.
Smith taking a look off the front now. I have to imagine this racing will change a little bit after yesterday. Just kind of shaking out the dynamics, I guess, of the group. You just kind of get a feel for, who the big guns in this field are, how things are going to go, who's in charge, that kind of stuff.
And who's here today that may not have been present yesterday.
Oh, we're going to get a good look at some of the riders throughout the day today. Look at their pain caves. There's some art in this one hanging on the wall. I like it.
That looks like Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc. That's what I see.
Well, Jason Smith is the X-Speed United rider. No, I like it. It's interpretive art. It's whatever you see in it. I think, yeah, I see an eyeball. I see that. I like it. Well, Smith putting in an effort early here. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen the red ball above Smith's name indicating that he was in that heavy power zone. Kevin Bouchard-Hall, your race leader right now, sitting in the sort of mid-level orange zone, although he does keep it red to stay on the front. Hall, winner at the crits yesterday's course. So likes to race criteriums. He knows how to race on RGT, knows the platform well. So Bouchard-Hall might be one to watch today.
Yeah, he just had a win, a couple of weeks ago, and a great celebration that he put up on Twitter that was a lot of fun. And I just really like that, people get super excited about this. It's just like real racing.
A win is a win, no matter how it comes.
Yeah. I guess it is real racing, Lauren. Come on. Yeah.
Well, and I see Zach Nair highlighted up on the front. Nair was another guy who was really aggressive yesterday from that Project Echelon team.
Yeah, just a nice, steady rider trying to get off the front, get a group, just like yesterday. Yeah, like I said, I'm just so curious what Eric is probably talking to these guys about. And being a future director, I'd kind of like to know. Maybe we'll have a call after this. Debrief
for the guys. Talk about what you're doing with Project Echelon this year. You're going to be working with those guys at Team Camp and then doing some races as well, directing from the car. Do you like directing? Have you done directing before?
I have. I love it. I really do love it. The more I could do in the U.S., gosh, if I had more time and there were more of me, I would love to do it full time. But I'm currently full time with USA Cycling Foundation, a job that I absolutely love. But yeah, these guys have asked me to come on and help out and consult, and it's such an honor. I mean, one, because of who this team is and what they represent, which is just a whole other level of bike racing. There's so much more to it than just bike racing for these guys, and that means a lot to me as well. But if I could just empower a little bit of or instill a little bit of knowledge and empower these guys to have some significant role and hopefully better themselves and better the team, I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I would say you certainly have a lot to share. You've been to pretty much every race I think that these guys will go to, or almost all of them. I guess there's a few new races on the calendar, but having spent your pro career both in Europe and the U.S., I would imagine you'll have plenty of insight for these guys. Luckily, they're not making you direct anything virtually. You don't have to give any advice on racing on RGT.
Hey, I think it's all practical and learning. Man, I say that I have learned up until the day I retired. I never want to pigeonhole or think I'm too good for any especially e-racing. I think this is just as a dynamic racing platform as real life, and hey, we all have something to learn at some point. And like I said, like we were talking about, I learned how to get dropped right off from the gun. So yeah, there's always potential.
It's a process, that's for sure. But I think you're absolutely right. It's a constant learning process. And there's a lot to be learned on RGT that you can take over the real world. I mean, obviously, we talked about the course yesterday. That would more apply to like bigger climbs. If you're looking to try and time a climb or work out a climb, you can load those exact courses, the G files that your Garmin or whatever would generate, and drop those into RGT. It'll generate that course, and you can practice those rides. I don't know that it would help as much in the criterium, but it is going to give you one heck of a workout for the next hour, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. But talking to Jackie yesterday about knowing when that she's going to lose power in the virtual world, that does apply to bike racing as well. Like, you can only pedal so hard and so fast through a corner before you have to let off going into a sprint. So position and power is equally important in real life as in Echelon Racing League. So it does apply. It's just a little bit different application.
The work you do in the winter pays off in the summer, right? Well, these guys are putting in the work right now. This is Matt Usborne that we're looking at from the Above and Beyond Cancer team. See a lot of those jerseys out there. It's the white jersey with the kind of green and yellow stripe across the back. One of the more organized teams in the Echelon Racing League, one of the bigger squads as well. And they got some pretty serious talent. This is Matt Usborne, second place yesterday, looking to do better on that today. And typically when you're hot, you're hot. A lot of times over the weekend, Lauren, we'll see the same sort of 10 or 15 names at the front. And a lot of times you see just a reflection of a lot of the same names on the results on day two.
Right, Brad, and the fact that Usborne was so close yesterday, and you wonder, like we're talking about, the timing of a sprint. I mean, he's a good pick for today. Like you're saying, there's that carryover from the day before.
We talked about that squad. Also has Brad Bickley on there as well. Bickley was riding at the front a lot yesterday. It looks like he may be getting up there to take advantage of some of the work being done by Usborne and company up on the front. This one seems a lot calmer today than it was yesterday. Oh, yeah, we talked about the clothing choice of riders yesterday. But, yeah, it just doesn't seem like we're seeing as many, early attacks out there today.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe the hill has a little bit of factor into today's effort and get a couple of laps in and get a feel for how this course shakes out a little bit different than yesterday, since yesterday was essentially pancake flat. A different dynamic in the course today.
Yeah, you can see the upper right-hand corner of the screen. That is a current elevation profile. It basically shows the next kilometer ahead and kilometer behind. So you can see that little bump on the profile. That's what we're talking about. And it starts going uphill, basically coming to the line, and then there's a little climb out of turn one as well before it starts dropping down there. So now you see on the descent, as we go back to Jaeger and Nair. Boy, this is a familiar area. Exactly how we saw it yesterday. Nair and Jaeger locking into each other. These guys know exactly what wheels they want to follow.
I was thinking the same thing, seeing Nair up there so far, the entire start of this race.
And I have to imagine if you're in the field and you see Jaeger and Nair pop up on the front, you kind of grip the handlebars a little tighter. Maybe tighten up those shoes a little bit.
Turn those efforts into red. Move up.
Right. Chris Uberti getting up to the front here as well for the next esports team. Saw his teammate Scott Catanzaro spending some time up on the front earlier. And here's Catanzaro right now. This is definitely a guy who wants to stay on the front, too. Scott Catanzaro had a plan coming into this one, and it involved staying near the front. He's really putting in an effort to get there. You don't accidentally ride on the front like this. I mean, this is a concerted effort. He knows where he wants to be, and he's putting in the work to keep himself there. I don't know if that's going to pay off later today, but he's certainly making it work right now.
Yeah, it seems the start of this race is a bit more shuffled towards the front. There's, I don't know, it's just quite the mix-up, and people are moving up and a little bit more nervous, I would say, almost.
Brian Hodges, yesterday's winner, hanging back a little bit. But then you see him go into the red zone and get out of the saddle, try to close it down. Again, we're looking at the power zone beneath the rider's name. If you see the little name hovering above their virtual character, it has a color bar below it. That corresponds with different power zones. It's much like a traffic light. Green is easy, red is hard, and there's some orange shades in the middle. We were trying to guess how Brian Hodges was feeling yesterday earlier in the race, but I guess he answered that at the finish yesterday. Here's Ben Thomas back on the front, the British rider for Team Tour 2000. Good results last year. Thomas, a former pro mountain biker, trying the virtual skinny tires.
And why not? Because training is training, no matter what tires, what terrain you're on. It's all power and weight and effort.
And look at this, Usborne and Simons getting away here on the front, the upper left corner of your picture here. Got themselves a little bit of daylight here, and this is absolutely a setup here. Jaeger's going to go with them. He's like, come on, guys. You want to go? Let's go. So he wants to take Usborne and Simons with him. Look, and look, Nair is there as well, fourth. So here you go. If you're looking at this back in the field, watching this group of 4 riders get up there, I'm really Oh, here comes Kevin Bouchard Hall as well. Thomas in there.
Ooh,
this is a no-brainer. You got to go with this one.
Yeah. This is a dangerous break right here. Let's see if they continue to make separation.
The thing here is that these guys, one, keep up the effort, and 2, figure out how to cooperate. I know they know how to pace line, and look, it's happening. Everyone in the field is trying to come up. The entire field is starting to panic. Will Harden back there, Sarnecki into the red, all the way down our top 10. These guys are all into the red zone because they see these names, and they're like, all right, that's the race right there. So they're lost right back in the field right now. Here's Walter Claes trying to come up. The Belgian wants to make it across the gap. He's going to get right into the draft to Thomas.
This is going to have everybody kind of in distress and heads up now. Like, if you weren't paying attention this morning when you started, you better be rolling now.
Yeah. And it's really important for those first 5 guys to stay on it. Stay on the gas here. And look, you see Claes starting to suffer a little bit here. He tried to go across the gap earlier, got brought back, and now it looks like he's just going to sit in and let the other guys do work at the front of the field. Gap holding. They are really not letting these guys get away. The gap is only 40 meters, maybe 50, depending on who you're checking on. Kevin Bouchard Hall leading the way right now. Beautiful pace line being set by these guys. These are the 4 riders to watch today, and they're going to try and keep this tempo as high as they can, at least for the next 2 minutes. You got to get this gap over to like 200 meters above, and then you can start calming down a little bit. Field on the right-hand side of the screen really starting to string out, Lauren. This tells me that they're trying to chase. They just can't do it.
You're exactly right, Brad. Like, the guys at the front are going to keep the pressure on. I would imagine they're still going to stay in the red on and off. The guys chasing, there's going to be 1s and 2s now, and if they don't have a concerted effort, you'll see it kind of bunch together, and then you kind of you have that sense of, they're not going to give up, but they need to have this conversation, but it's virtual. You can't really do that. So, yeah, you'll probably see them strung out, and you'll see the 1s and 2s trying to say, hey, come on, let's bring this back. But these guys at the front, Kevin Bouchard-Hall and Zach Nair, they're going to keep pushing on it for a bit until, like you said, there's a significant separation.
And I think that might be happening right now. Although Field's starting to bring it back. Coming up on 80 meters on the gap. Look how close these guys are staying together. These are 4 riders that know how to race on RGT. All 4 of these guys participated in the Echelon Racing League last year. In fact, not just participated, but animated the Echelon Racing League. So they're all familiar with each other. They're all familiar with RGT, and now we got a good old-fashioned breakaway forming here. Look at Payne Griffin back there in 5th, still in the red zone. Will not let these guys go.
You know, what'll be interesting is to see all of their different quote-unquote pain caves, because like we saw Usborne's outside and the temperature difference, and we've seen some of the guys wearing gloves, and we've talked about that yesterday. And so, yeah, you got to wonder if the heat factor is going to come into play with these guys off the front and trying to bridge across, as Griffin's trying to do right now.
Catanzaro is going to try and go as well. Next, missed the breakaway. They don't have a guy up there, and so I think that's why Catanzaro and Griffin are working so hard up here. They are going to get up there to those guys.
Yeah, but those guys have definitely obliterated this peloton for the most part.
Yeah.
There'll probably be a reset. Yeah, this is a great start to this race.
Yeah, so this is more about, I guess, what's happening at the back of the race than what's happening at the front. These 4 guys are spitting more riders out. Yeah, look how small this group is now. 60-plus riders on the start list. And I'm going to say that's down to about 35 in that group right now. So a lot of guys had their Sunday morning ruined pretty early here by Kevin Bouchard-Hall.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I was thinking the same thing. It's like, well, what a Sunday morning this is.
You're telling me I woke up at 7 a.m. for this?
Hey, you might as well just turn off the computer now and turn on the TV and watch some football.
All right, so Yeager, Nair, Usborne, and Bouchard-Hall are your 4 riders. They almost got brought back just a little bit ago by this hard-charging field behind it, but they are just dangling right off the front. Charlie Revel going to try and come up as well. Safazada also in the mix. Had a good ride yesterday for draft racing. He's there with his teammate Bruce Bird in 7th position. So this may see some contact being made, and then I'm going to guess there's another split that happens. They pull on the elastic again once these guys get up there. Once Bird, Safanzada, Catanzaro, Thomas, Revel, all those guys get up here, they're going to go again. They're going to hit it again. So there will be another selection being made, and I think this might be Catanzaro trying to do it right now for Next Esports. Come over the top of the breakaway, catch them, and then attack the break. I love it.
Yeah, keep going, especially when you come up to this hill after you round this corner again. It just kind of got to keep going. It hurts. It hurts real bad. Those guys were off the front for so long, and, you know, will they be able to just sit on that wheel and try and follow this next attack? Probably not.
Well, Payne Griffin doing his name proud here off the front. After Catanzaro helped bring it back, Griffin counters that breakaway. And now look, Yeager and Bouchard-Hall are trying to chase. So I think they believe in Payne Griffin. They believe in the power of Payne here off the front. So now Yeager and Bouchard-Hall want to go with him.
Yeah, and they should. Obviously, those guys are pretty strong and made that first break. And Usborne should get up there as well. I think the only reason that break came back was because of Griffin and those guys bringing that back. So if these guys get up the road, this may be all she wrote for the race, for the rest of the race.
Bickley back here, Hardin, Safazada. And this is Will Hardin right here. A beast of a human being. Yeah. All right, so little reset here. Bickley going to try and roll off the front a little bit. That'll allow these guys to get back in the mix. So the Usborne, Nair, Yeager breakaway looks like has been shut down, but they certainly forced a selection. Let's go ahead and call that 30 riders back there in the group. You can see on the upper right-hand corner of the screen all those little white sort of droplets along the course. Those are the various riders along the route, so you can see how much this one has spread out. The riders that we're watching are always going to be in the middle of that profile, so you can see that this one has, well, blown up pretty badly early on here.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it's come back, but yeah, I guess it's still early enough in the race. Have a reset.
Yeah, you take it from 60 to 30, take it from 30 to 20, from 20 to 10, 10 to 5, and then try and take it down to a small group to go to the line. We'll see.
The perfect day for a breakaway rider, but I would hate that as a sprinter. Come on, I want it all to be an easy day. Let's cruise around together.
Boy, you would not like racing against Jaden Yeager then, because this guy cannot sit still, both in real life and on the virtual platform. Always attacking, always keeping it tough.
I'm
Looks like
making
Will
my
Harden
teammate.
appreciates the effort. Yeah, exactly. So I think these are lapped riders tacking on to the back of Harden here. Yeah, because that's going to be Bickley into second position. So those riders in the black jerseys are just getting picked up by Harden, your race leader. Now in the game, lapped riders do still have a draft turned on. We talk a lot about the physics in RGT. When you come up on a draft rider, though, the drafting effect is lighter. So you're not getting as much draft out of those lapped riders, and the lapped riders aren't getting as much draft from the lap-up riders as normal, but they do interact. So there is an element of picking up lap traffic. There's a little bit of an advantage to being able to draft off those lap riders, but again, they're probably going slower than you, so you don't want to spend a whole lot of time sitting on that draft.
Yeah, these guys on the front will kind of just go straight through them, and the lap riders are just going to try and hang on for a little bit longer, as much as they can, kind of get a free lap. But yeah, these guys are going to roll right through the lap riders, just like in real life, as it should be.
All right. Yeah, exactly. So this looks like a little bit of a general reset here in the group to me. I'm seeing a lot of blues and greens on the power numbers here. And so that tells me that they're taking it relatively easy. Davenport spending some time on the front. And Travis Samuel says this is too easy. So he's going to go on the attack. Samuel was also picked up by this Above and Beyond Cancer team in the draft earlier this year from the Community Combine. We know Travis from racing on the road, spent a lot of time as, well, at some of the biggest UCI road races around North America. Racing China, too. Travis used to always go over with the H&R Block team on the road, so I saw them racing quite a bit over in Asia.
Nice. Yeah, he's definitely putting the pressure on, getting a little bit of separation. You see everybody kind of going into the red to say, "Oh, I guess we gotta go." Woohoo!
As Samuel hitting them with the old 1-2 here for Above and Beyond Cancer. Remember, it was Usborne going earlier, and now it looks like they've turned it over to Samuel here. He's going to bring Kevin Bouchard-Hall with him.
You see Samuel picking up his phone. I imagine he's probably talking to his teammate of if this is good or I'm feeling good
or not.
Or sending an emoji.
He's got Kevin Bouchard-Hall with him. This is a good setup. I think they need more than two guys, though. And again, it's really, really tough to get away on these criterium courses. Just the cornering, the fact that they can sort of see the riders up ahead, so for so long. It's really tough to get away on RGT on these criterium style courses. So if we see a split go today in this men's field, I'll be pretty surprised. Now, yesterday we saw a split in the women's field because, well, those two riders in the breakaway are just riding on another level out there. So it wasn't surprising to see riders like Jackie Godby getting away. But I think this is a pretty evenly matched field, yeah.
Yeah, I guess looking at history or historical racing for RGT, yeah, yesterday was aggressive, right? There were people that tried, the guys that tried over and over and over, just about the entire race to get away, and there were some that would kind of stick a little bit, but then nothing really was able to stay out for a significant amount of time. So yeah, we're kind of seeing the similar racing as yesterday.
Hayden Warner is not seeing the same racing as yesterday. He's got the stunner shades on here.
I love
Everything
it.
looks a
Hey,
lot more
it's,
colorful today than it did yesterday for Hayden Warner.
It's the blue blockers. He's protecting his eyes from the screen time.
This guy looks like Terminator.
Hey, you got to be sponsor correct.
That's right. Yeah, we saw Catanzaro yesterday with his Gooder sunglasses on.
Hamming it up for the camera, too. Great.
I love it. This Above and Beyond Cancer team definitely has a fun element to the squad as well. I'm not sure if that's in the official team handbook, but I think Oosborn runs a pretty fun ship over there at the Above Cancer team.
As you should. This bike racing is supposed to be fun. Come on. Yeah, you gotta, it's all about the culture. I mean, yeah, you can take it serious, and you need to take it serious when you're a professional, and this is what you get paid to do, and you're representing a company, but yeah, come on, you gotta ham it up a little bit, give us some love. We gotta see, a little crack in your armor every once in a while.
Catanzaro about to make it across the gap here. He just left the field. He has been in the red zone for the better part of 45 seconds now, and I think he's going to get up there and join Travis Samuel and Kevin Bouchard-Hall here. Great move from Catanzaro. That's really tough to go across the gap, but he just made it. It was only 40 meters, but now's the time, right? If you think this one's going, you think that's getting bigger, might as well go now when the gap is 40 meters rather than when it gets up to 400. So now we'll see if Catanzaro spends some time recovering, sits on, and then maybe tries to contribute, lift the tempo here with these two guys on the front.
It's like you've watched bike racing before, Brad. That's exactly how it should play out. He should probably catch his breath, and yeah, like you said, you had to be represented up there with your team or as an individual, and yeah, you hope that now it's going to stay away. Will's on
and
call
now
duty.
Everyone's sending guys up the road. Yep, going to be Will Harden next to go for Project Echelon, so that'll put Restart, Above and Beyond, Next, and Project Echelon, the four teams in the break. And then sure enough, look who's behind him, Ben Thomas, Team Tour 2000, trying to get represented up the road in the break. Here's Harden. Nice gap behind these guys.
Yeah, this is starting to grow a bit, hey?
You can see the distance on the name list on the left side of the gameplay screen. It shows the distance to the riders in front, the rider behind, the rider that we're watching. We're following Harden on that screen right now, which means we're going to be showing the distance to and from Harden. So it looks like about 60 meters back to the chasers. Hodges, Bickley, Hoagman, those guys trying to get up there. This front group not working real well together all of a sudden. It seemed like earlier those four guys were really cooperating well. But it seems to be taking these four a little longer to get on the same page.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. If it's what's the hand gesture I just saw thrown out right there by Kevin Bouchard-Hall? What is that's new to me.
Yeah, so you can do that in RGT. It's just an acknowledgement basically, but you can also use to say whatever you would want. Bouchard-Hall is trying to say, hey, let's work together. What are we doing here? We got a much better chance of support together.
Yeah, or let's be a little bit more consistent on our pull-throughs, please.
Right. Big efforts, that's for sure, for these guys. 400, 500 watts for a guy like Kevin Bouchard-Hall is not an easy thing to do, and not something that you can sustain for a long time either, Lauren. We talk about these power zones, but a big part of understanding power and understanding those zones is understanding how long you can be in those zones, knowing your engine and knowing how long your engine can push those each individual zones.
For those that don't race bicycles, a good way to gauge that red zone, put on a 20-pound pack and go sprint up a hill as hard as you can, and that's essentially the red zone, and then try and continue to run and recover, and then just continue to do it over and over, and just see how long you can do it. And yeah, when these guys are doing it for a couple of minutes or for 30 seconds or 45 seconds, all of a sudden when you're running up the hill with that 20-pound pack and you get maybe 5 seconds in, you're like, whoo, this is not easy.
Yeah, if you've ever done a VO2 max test, you understand just how deep these guys can go and how deep you have to go.
That's like a vomit test. It makes my stomach turn as you say those words. VO2 max test. Whoa.
Here's Oliver Dowd from Restart Racing. Looking like he just finished a VO2 max test.
He's in the middle.
That's a heart rate monitor. Yep, strapped across his chest. Riders will use that to keep track of their heart rate. We also see that in, we'll see that in some of the game data. Oliver Dowd saying hello to the camera here. And he's just relaxing.
Perfect.
He's got this right where he wants it.
Yeah, the heart rate strap is where you're going to get the most accurate data. A lot of wrist watches now have heart rate data from the wrist, but you have to have it really tight on your wrist. That kind of makes me a little uncomfortable. I have one. I have a Garmin, but yeah, the heart rate strap is the way to go. And then you have to have that data for this racing league, so everybody's wearing one.
Yeah, you can see the data here in the upper left-hand corner. We measure both the power, the cadence, and the heart rate of the riders so that we can just make sure that all these performances are believable, make sure that all those things line up in a realistic way. These guys do have a verification process every week. There's a weigh-in. You have to make sure that your weight is correct and accurate because that plays into the physics of the game. We talked about the power-to-weight ratio yesterday, where the more power the more you weigh, the more power you need to create to move at a given speed. So they have to submit a video showing their weigh-in process, and it has to be shot in a way that it couldn't be edited or doctored up or anything like that, deep faked, if you really want to get serious with the Echelon Racing League. But they have to submit that to make sure that the weights are accurate.
I laugh, but yeah, you're right, and I think that's such a even and fair playing field, and so important. If you look at the race Bible and the specifications that these athletes have to follow to be verified is the name of the game. You have to have it.
Yeah, and if you've ever raced any of these virtual races, you know that there are performances on these platforms where you're like, really? All right. It seems pretty strong, and so the verification is almost necessary. Even, a lot of these virtual riders, there were questions of, their power meter must be miscalibrated, or there must be a problem with their trainer or whatever, and then it turns out they're just really, really good undiscovered talent that can thrive on these virtual platforms.
I guess. No, I believe it. I really do. There's been times I've been on the trainer and had a workout, and these are numbers that I should not easily hit, but I should be able. They are attainable numbers, and then for whatever reason, I just can't mentally get in the game. But some of these guys and gals, they have no problem just like getting into this focus, which is really great. I just don't have that capability.
A lot of it is, I guess, your natural relationship with the trainer. Some people, I think, have the trainer gene in them, and some people not so much, like me. I've tried everything. Movies, old races, Zooms, phone calls, music. But I will say that the racing platforms do help, and a social element too. Being able to get on there with someone you know and ride around together, I guess, helps a little bit.
A ton. It helps a ton. Quite the diminished peloton right now.
Yeah.
I think that hill is taken out a little bit more than you might think. We were looking at somebody just earlier, and just as they crested the hill, you could see he had a moment to sit up and take a breather. It's like, it's starting to really weigh on him.
look at this. Catanzaro, all of a sudden, off the back of the group. Remember, this was one of the guys that was really animating on the front. He was having a great day up there for the next esport team, but maybe went a little too deep trying to go across those gaps. Remember, Catanzaro was one of the guys that left the field, joined those four, and I'm wondering if he might want that move back right now. Oh, man, a lot of riders getting dropped here. Charlie Revel, another strong rider in this field.
It
Gonsalves
must be a tough day.
in this group, yeah.
And then also having the legs loaded a bit from yesterday's effort. It's just as the start of the season. Everything's new, so this is a new stimulus to your body. So, yeah, you may see a couple people off the back that we weren't really expecting just due to yesterday's efforts. And now, this morning's early efforts.
The other thing about RGT, once you're out of that draft, I mean, once you lose that the pacing in front of you or that speed of the main group, it's almost impossible to get back in. So even if you have like a power dropout for 5 or 10 seconds, your trainer becomes disconnected or you lose Wi-Fi or whatever, when you come back, you could be only, it could have only been 5 seconds, but that might be too much to overcome. So not sure if it was a mechanical or what happened to these guys out there today, but there are some big names. Jan Deca, he was in the top 10 yesterday. Mike Lister was there as well. Also missed the move.
Or just days done.
Yeah.
They were on
that could be as well. Yep. Well, meanwhile, Brad Bickley has given himself a nice little lead off the front here as Above and Beyond Cancer sends another one. Without a doubt, the most aggressive team out there today, that's for sure.
Looks like Kevin's putting in a digger trying to get across now to him.
And I think Bouchard Hall will probably get there. All right, so now we look to see if these two can link up. Bickley and Bouchard Hall trying to give it a go now. Nice gap, 70 meters up the road. God, Bouchard's Hall been working today. Oh, I love the old school hat too.
Yeah, head down, man. You know he's giving her. Oh, I like look at his phone setup. That's pretty crafty. That's like a car connector or something, isn't it?
Yep. So I think that would probably be his comm system, I'm guessing. He's using that to communicate with his teammates out there. And now Bouchard Hall is just going to try and keep this power as high as he can. This is what he tried to do earlier. Bickley's going to try and go with him, but you can see pushing about, let's say, 550 average power here. It's about 6 watts per kilo for Kevin Bouchard Hall. That is high on the range of power. And when we talk about watts per kilo, that's up there, Lauren.
Yeah, it is. You see it's worked. They've got a little bit, the biggest gap that we've kind of seen all day, I would say.
Yep.
Now down to the last 10 kilometers of racing, and Kevin's going to push on here and try and get Bickley to commit as well.
Here's Chris Uberti up next, the next esports team. That was the team of Catanzaro. Now, Uberti is also a rider that could have gone across those gaps, but obviously decided not to. So I think you might be right about what Next was doing with Catanzaro, because they still have a lot of strong riders in this main group that we're looking at right now, including Uberti. So I'm wondering if Uberti might be their guy today, the guy that kept the powder dry for Next Esports.
Yeah, and you see Jaeger's just going to be up there to kind of cover and kill or go across with anything next, because he's such a big guy. This downhill is definitely playing to his advantage, and he'll kind of waterfall as he comes back around to that uphill and fade a bit, I imagine. But yeah. Chris Uberte giving it a go.
Well, now Uberti dropping everyone behind him. There is Brian Hodges coming into the picture now, yesterday's winner, but at the very back of the group. He's still 70 meters back to Bouchard Hall and Bickley. Those just lapped riders that he was working through. Uberti all in on this one. Zach Nair's going to join him, and Usborne's going to get there as well. Again, same names that we're seeing back up at the front here as the strongman surface once again at the front of the field here.
Looks like Zach hit that hill pretty perfectly, putting Uberti just a little off the back, having to close that gap.
And now Will Harden wants to get in. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if those two guys want these guys to join or not. At this point, 8.8 kilometers to go. I'm not sure if they would want to have another 5, 6. Well, this is going to be more than 6 riders coming up to join them. So at this point, I think this group is too big. If you're those 2 leaders, you do not want this many guys coming up. 4, 5, maybe, but this is way too big.
Yeah, unless it's your teammate. But yeah, this is, yeah.
Looks like they're going to settle down a little bit. Beast Mode presented by Rose, a new team to the Echelon Racing League this year. And I already got some results. I have a feeling we're going to see more of them in the white jerseys here, black shorts. And it's all up the road. Griffin going to be the last guy that has a shot to go across this gap here. And it's the same distance ahead of him as it is behind him. 50 meters up to the leaders, 50 meters back to the field. He is dead in the center of these 2 groups.
As we like to call no man's land.
Yeah.
But Griffin,
the watts these guys are doing back in the field. 8, 10, 12 watts. Oh my God.
I think we're down, now to the last 7K. It's now or never. You got to, if you're going to bring it back and then have a lap to kind of reset, regroup, and prepare for the sprint. These guys are, it should kind of go full gas and try and catch the front group. And Griffin, if he could just see these guys, it's almost like a carrot, just dangling, and you can kind of chomp away at it. But otherwise, and the guys behind him are looking at him to say, if we can just get Griffin. So it's almost like this cat and mouse game that individuals are playing right now.
You can see the long road ahead for Griffin. You can just see the 2 leaders up ahead.
I don't think he's going to make it, though.
Yeah, here comes Grant Simons up him. So maybe he can tack on to the back of Simons here and let Simons try and drag him up. But he hasn't made any progress since we started watching that gap. It's still 60 meters up to Bouchard Hall and Bickley now. Now Nair going to try and pull him up. Oh, got to stay on the wheel. Oh.
Everybody's in the red right now.
Griffin trying to get there. Nair trying to get there. I think Zach Nair can probably go across here. He's bringing this gap back pretty rapidly, so he will get up into the group. Lister lap rider that he goes by. And right now, Nair gets into the draft. So you see the upper left corner. It says saving 30, 40, 20-ish watts in there. That's what I was talking about earlier, showing you the distance that you have to try and get up there to try and close that gap to maximize your drafting. So Nair is definitely watching that. You can see the significant saving. You get up to like 250, 260 watts of energy saving if you can get into that perfect draft. And that's exactly where Zach Nair is right now.
Oh, look at that face. Yeah, Zach has definitely been giving it. This is great. Come on, Zach. You got this. This is good.
Oh, no. Good thing he's got the sweatband going. And who is this? Payne Griffin just made it across. Griffin came on a little too strong. Had to let off a little bit. Get back into the group. All right, so call it 5 across the gap. Bouchard Hall, Usborne, Bickley, Griffin, and Nair. The 5 riders going clear here as they go 70 meters up on Thomas, Team, Jaeger, Bird, Hoagman, and Uberti.
Yeah, Brad,
this is almost the same make. Yeah.
There's only 5K left, and the guys chasing, the peloton chasing, knows this, and is like, if we don't catch them now, this is game over for us. And so Kevin Bouchard Hall and Griffin, those guys got to keep the pressure on right now.
Chase starting to lift behind him. Gap was 70. It's down to 60. Some guys going inside 50. Bruce Berg trying to make it across now for Draft Racing. Now, Bird is a guy that can probably do this, a Masters World Champion, believe it or not, in the red jersey of Draft Racing, trying to make his way across in 6th position now. He wants to get up into this group of 5. Well, these guys certainly look like they have it figured out up at the front. Here's Uberti trying to come across next.
Oh, man, if this reshuffles right at the finish, those poor guys. That's going to be all that effort. But, hey, that's bike racing.
There's a very good chance, I think, that may happen because these guys are cooperating really well, working together. As you see, Bruce Bird has separated himself from racers behind him. That is Uberti right in front of him, the green jersey of the next esports squad. So Bird and Uberti could link up. They've also got Thomas and Jaeger up there, another great group of 4 riders. If they can all link up and work together for the next 3.89 kilometers, they're going to get there. But it's going to take all the way to the line. Coming up on 3.5K to go as Usborne continues to set tempo on the front. Now, he's got Brad Bickley up there with him, the only team with 2 riders in this breakaway, the Above and Beyond Cancer team, and well-deserved too. Let's not forget that these guys were really the early animators of this race. Usborne was particularly strong in trying to get a split going.
Exactly, and knowing that Usborne was so close yesterday, I imagine his teammate may work for him today.
Bouchard Hall just dangling off the front a little bit. Meanwhile, Chase going nowhere behind these guys. Bird, Thomas, Uberti, Jaeger, they're over 100 meters now, so they're not going to catch these guys. At 3 kilometers to go, I do not see them coming back, especially with Usborne staying on the gas here in the red zone, out of the saddle. Big effort here from the Canadian.
Maybe he's just trying to set his own tempo coming over that hill right there so nobody will counterattack him. But yeah, that was kind of surprising. He looks like a bigger guy. I wouldn't have pinned him to push over the top like that, but maybe he's feeling really good today.
Certainly keeping these guys on their toes. And now a little general recovery. We'll see if anyone wants to attack out of this group. Everybody is down into the blue and green power zones right now. So there is a group agreement that they're going to chill right now. But let's see who the first one to break the truce is. Meanwhile, Chasers on the right side of your screen, the Bird, Thomas, Jaeger team group. Staying at it. They're still all together, but still 100 meters back.
Sorry, Brad. The other interesting thing I was going to say is that if you look over in the top right-hand corner at 54, 55K an hour, that's hauling on this downhill. So, yeah, you'd imagine you'd probably see a little bit of the blues and greens on the downhill, especially after that big push up and over the climb.
Going up on 2K to go now. As we go back to the leaders up at the front. Bickley starting to go at it. Bouchard Hall now tacked onto the back. And just like that, they're back into the red zone up on the front. Bickley going to go. Now remember, Above and Beyond Cancer has two. So what they do is send Bickley early, and then Usborne will sit back. He's going to be plan B if this doesn't work out for Brad Bickley up on the front here. Let's take him down to 1 lap to go.
Yeah, attack, counterattack, these two guys. Someone like Zach's probably going to have to go early.
And now a little bit more separation up at the front. As Griffin and Usborne go at it. These guys are going to lock in, I'm going to guess, all the way to that last corner. As we go inside 1K to go for the leaders on the left corner of your screen, the chasers on the right corner.
Who knows how to play the game best?
Yep, absolutely. Just like any sprint, there's an element of timing, an element of sort of playing poker a little bit. You got to make sure that you don't telegraph your strategy too much. But yeah, everybody's looking around right now. Lauren, I know you've been in these scenarios that run into the finish where it's like, all right, we're going to stay away. And now we just have to sort out the sprint into the last corner here with 600 meters to go to the line. Bickley still leading. Bouchard Hall gets up there. Here comes Payne Griffin trying to surge. They got the finish line in sight. Bickley going to stay into the red zone. Here comes Usborne with a late surge. He'll get up there. Usborne is going to get there as well. Bickley going to hold on. They still got 400 meters to go. A lot of racing remaining. Payne Griffin goes now up the left side for Next Esports. Griffin's got a nice gap in 300 meters, but did he go too early? Here comes Bickley. Bouchard Hall. Nair still in the mix as well, but needs to get up there. Usborne surging now. He was second yesterday. He's trying to get it right today. He's got 150 meters to do it, as now Usborne moves into the lead. Bickley into second, and then Bouchard Hall going to move into the third. It's going to be a photo finish on the line between Bickley and Bouchard Hall, but Kevin Bouchard Hall gets it done again. Another win for Restart Racing as Kevin Bouchard Hall comes through at the last second to beat Brad Bickley to the line.
Holy cow, Brad. Oh my gosh, just like we saw a couple weeks ago, Kevin Bouchard Hall is probably ecstatic right now. And just like you said, in real life, like, you've seen so many people go too early in the sprint because of that uphill drag. Like, what a finish. That was so exciting.
Huge ride for Kevin Bouchard Hall and an exciting finish to the line there as well. Man, all the way through, every single sprint so far in the Echelon Racing League this year has been close. We have had 3 really good ones, and now we get ready for the Pro Women coming up. That's going to be another good one with these battles, but how about Kevin Bouchard Hall today, man? It doesn't get much better than that. How many times did they try to get that split going during the day, and then it wasn't until the last, 8 kilometers that they finally got away?
The effort that Kevin put in all late race, to make the gap, to establish the gap, and then really we didn't see him in the sprint finish until right there at the very end. We saw Griffin go early, and then we saw Usborne almost have that second comeback, and you're like, oh, he's got it. And then all of a sudden, Bouchard Hall just knew exactly how to time that sprint. It was perfect.
Well, and amazing seeing the team effort from Above and Beyond Cancer, too. How good were they getting multiple riders into the breakaway? They timed it perfectly. They were able to send one rider up the road. They really couldn't have asked for a better setup than what they had with Above and Beyond Cancer.
Agreed, yeah. I mean, that's the name of the game, is to stack the break and have as many athletes as you can up there. And they had the numbers, but just couldn't bring home the win.
Well, they're going to have plenty more shots this year in the Echelon Racing League, so it's not over yet. Don't worry, guys. You'll have plenty more opportunities to try and defend against Kevin Bouchard Hall here. But, man, what a ride. Let's take a look at how things played out there for our top 10. We know Kevin Bouchard Hall got the win, but it was the Above and Beyond Cancer team, I think, that was maybe the question mark. The first through fifth results in there were so close on that run-in to the line. So, yeah, really, really close run. All right, sounds like we have Kevin in Zoom. Let's see if we can go over and grab a word with our race winner first. Yeah, we'll go to Kevin and then we'll look at some results. So go over to Kevin Bouchard Hall in the Zoom room with Emma Watson. And Kevin's not ready yet. He's giving us the thumbs down in Zoom. So we'll try and get him on as we take a look at our results for the day here. Boy, 5.09 watts per kilo, the average for Kevin Bouchard Hall out there on the day. That is a big day on the bike, Lauren.
Look, he's not ready yet because he's over there puking in a bucket. But, Above and Beyond Cancer, like, these guys are now stacking the podium. They're getting the name of the game. As the racing season continues, we're going to see a whole lot more of these guys, and they figured out how to stack the break. Now it's just a matter of timing into the finish and for that win. It's coming.
I see Brad Bickley up into second place with Matt Usborn, his teammate, in for third. And then Zach Nair in fourth, Payne Griffin into fifth, and Jaden Yeager into sixth.
And those are great rides by Zach and Payne to get up there and to represent and to animate that race. Zach and Payne had been out there on the front, multiple attacks all morning. So that's a good result for those guys as well.
Any other names on this list stick out to you, Lauren?
Uberti, because he had definitely put in the effort and tried to represent and like you said, beast mode, kind of stacking the podium in the women's race yesterday, or not stacking the podium, I'm sorry, stacking the top 10. So yeah, just having this team represented is good results and good to see them in the top 10.
All right, let's go over to our Zoom room now. Sounds like we've got Kevin ready for a couple words.
Hello, thank you. How are you doing, Kevin? How does this win feel?
Feels great. It was good. I won last week, the first community one, and then I had a really good qualifier race. And then I had the playoffs on the other platform yesterday, and that our team qualified for Premier League, but I didn't have a good day. But got the legs today, so that's good. Sometimes you need a bad day to have a good day. So I'm glad today was my good day.
Yeah, and you kept really at the front of the race throughout the entire time and timed your sprint at the right moment to gain the lead. What was your mindset throughout this race?
When the first two laps, I was like, oh, the hill's too hard. There isn't enough time in between the hard hills for anything to get away. And then it made people tired. And then you could see that there was a chance. So started racing aggressive, and we got that group, and I was like, I know you can, if you stay steady, you can do great. So I stayed steady, and I kept watching that gap. Guys would bridge across, and then everyone would be gassed, and we wouldn't work together well, and the gap would come down. And so I was really watching that and trying to do work where I could save my legs for the finish, but also keep that gap. I was just watching that the last two laps. And the last lap, I was pretty sure we had it. And at that point, it was tactical. I know they had two teams from the white jerseys, with Usborn and Bickley, and I thought they were going to really try to 1-2 them, but I think the draft was too big. In the end, they kind of played off of each other, and I got to sit on them perfectly. I didn't beat him with legs. I beat him with, I played the game right. I had a perfectly timed sprint. I was patient, and I nailed it right at the right time. I had legs. So, but it wasn't watts. It was definitely technique.
All right, congratulations. Enjoy this race. We'll see you next time. Back to you guys.
Interesting insight there from Kevin. It's all about technique out there. You can have all the watts in the world, but if you don't know how to use them, Lauren, it doesn't do you any good.
Again, like he was talking about the dynamics of the race course and how that hill did add up over time, and how it was hard for the guys to come across. They were all gassed by the time they got over the hill and to the break. So, and then he's talking about playing the game, just like Jacqueline Godley said yesterday. So you start picking up on how and when to play the sprint, and apparently Kevin got it just right.
Figured it out today. All right, we are just a few minutes away from our pro women's hand cycling and paracycling start up next. We're going to take a quick break here, and then when we come back, we've got our next start of the day in the Echelon Racing League. All right, welcome back to the Echelon Racing League, day number 2 of season number 2, as we're here for the Tour of America's Dairyland, being joined now by Tour of America's Dairyland race director Bill Koch. As we are just a few minutes away from our race start, Bill looks to be joining us from the cabin, I'm guessing, up north in Wisconsin. Bill, is that right? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You must be in backwoods, Wisconsin right now. I think he's getting his audio dialed in right now. But are you in? Is this the vacation cabin, Bill?
It's in Laval, which is about from.
Right on. So I can hear you just fine. We got you loud and clear, Bill. Talk to me about our race course today here, East Tosa Village. This is always a classic at Tour of America's Dairyland. You guys have so many great communities that are a part of it, and East Tosa Village is another one that really embraces the tour when we come to town.
Yeah, and this is brand new actually. When we started Toad back in 2009, we looked at Wauwatosa Village. There were a bunch of metro sewer projects and a lot of streetscapes going on that prevented us from being there. So we were over on North Avenue, and we moved here last year. And I got to say, it probably was one of the best days we've ever had in terms of racing spectators. From the riders, it's a dynamic course. That little 8.2% kicker at the backside there that was putting a lot of pain on the guys and soon to be the ladies and the paracyclists in a few minutes is a real deal.
You talked about paracycling coming up in our next round of racing. This is always an important part of Tour of America's Dairyland. You guys have made a commitment to para racing every year at Toad. Why is that so important to your organization?
Really, it's a part of inclusivity, and that, it was a step that we didn't think of it. I'd like to say it was our idea, but John Haupt is the guy that brought the idea to us. He's had MS since he was 17 years old. He's now 65 years old. He's learned to live with his disease, but he's also a racer, and so he's taken this personal approach to reaching out to the hand cyclists. Since 2017 was our first year that we did it, and it's just been really a super addition. The spectators, the communities, the sponsors, everybody loves seeing these women and men out there working really, really hard. At this point, all we've done is hand bikes. But you think about the power they're able to put out using their arms and their hands versus their legs is just simply amazing. And the Paralyzed Veterans of America have been a big part of it as well. So we're super appreciative of their support along the way.
We are super pumped to see some of that racing today. Again, we'll have a para and hand cycling out there on our East Tosa Village course. Bill, thank you very much for joining us, calling in from the cabin. We are just about to go racing, so I'll let you get back to ice fishing or whatever you're doing up there.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good rest of your day.
All right, we have just rolled off the starting line here as our pro women up at the top of the screen. Then you see some of our para racing down at the bottom. We're going to be checking in with both of those races throughout the day. But here we go, Lauren. Very similar scenario up on the front. Scaloo going to be the early aggressor here. And sure enough, Jackie Godby goes with her.
Yeah, and I do think now that all the women kind of say, okay, these are the two that we know we have to watch and we got to keep an eye on. But immediately that they get a little bit of separation. It's just it's hard from the gun because I think you go straight through that hill and then it's this long downhill drag. So man, I can't believe they're already off the front, like just the two of them together. That's impressive.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the other riders in the field were like, all right, let's let them do what they're going to do. Let's get that out of the way, and then we'll figure out the rest of the race here. So Schumann, Krohn, Ayala, O'Toole, Wiseman, a lot of familiar names that we're seeing from last year making their way back up here, and they have brought those two back, so might see a little separation. This looks like 9 riders, I think, in this sort of front little separation here.
Can I tell you that a little birdie may have texted me a little bit about the community race last week and said that both races finished in a late breakaway. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We just saw that in the men's race. We see a little separation already in the women's race. Yeah, I wonder if you'll see that today in the women's race, if it'll all be together or if it'll be off the front with the Godby and Shalal from the beginning. But I don't know. We'll see.
All right, so just waiting for this separation to kind of shakeout here. And really, it's not a question of if, but when. To understand why we're saying that, let's go back to yesterday and talk about the Indy Crit and how things played out there, because Skalou and Godby were really the two animators yesterday, and we're thinking that's going to be the same scenario out there today. The break happened pretty early, still with 40 kilometers to go here. Godby had already started drifting away off the front. Skalou went with her, but she was nice and comfortable, locked into that time trial bike, just like she likes to do. Eventually, those two did find themselves well away off the front, 800 meters away here with 24 kilometers to go, and they would eventually lap that group, coming back into the fold, going a full lap up on the riders. That caused a slightly chaotic finish because we were watching these two riders finishing while the field was coming through the line, still getting one lap to go. In virtual racing, they don't finish on the lead rider's lap. The rest of the field will go around and do their additional lap. So as these two were out of the last corner, Jackie Godby lit the afterburners, and she was gone. Godby had an exceptional sprint on the finishing stretch there to beat Skalou to the line, not by much, but enough to put a dominant victory on the books for Jackie Godby. Then this sprint, watch Erin Ayala right here at the very back of the group. The field sprint for third here. The Velocity Vixen rider has a couple teammates with her. You see Bronwyn McGregor and Angie Bonacisi in there. Now you're going to see Ayala lock onto the wheel of Bonacisi. She'll drift back as they come into the last corner here, and then Ayala will shoot through the group after getting swallowed up here to lock in a third place finish. It looked like Rokkanen or Carolus, one of these riders, Haig, was also up here, but then whoop, here's Ayala right through the group to the line and across for third, so she picks up a podium. Huge win for Erin Ayala. There was some question yesterday. We were watching Erin Ayala's Zoom camera trying to figure out what she was eating, and we got the answer to that as she ended up just 2 minutes and 15 seconds down. But you can see Ayala, Schumann, Rokkanen, Carolus, Haig, Corrent, they're all there in that main group. So it was really Godby and Skalou that got the split for Triple X Racing and Beast Mode presented by Rose. But take a look at 3rd through 10th, because there's a good chance that those are the aggressors. Those may be some of the big names that you hear today. So this is what we were talking about yesterday with Ayala, trying to figure out what she was eating. We guessed that they were pretzel bites, peanut butter filled pretzel bites, but Erin did confirm on Instagram last night that they were in fact Scratch Lab chews, and she did in fact eat them all. So I guess you need all the calories you can get in an hour-long effort like this. Those chews, a little bit of caffeine, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of carbohydrates. It's just that extra little boost to get you going. So Erin Ayala obviously had her chews yesterday, and we'll see if she had them out there again today.
The beauty of social media. I love that they can talk to us and they're listening to us and can respond and give us the truth. Nothing but the facts, sir.
Just got a Instagram direct message from Hayden Warner, the guy that was wearing the stunner shades in his pain cave yesterday. That's actually Dr. Hayden Warner, and he had been on call for the last 24 hours. So he's just wrapping up a 24-hour on-call shift and then still managed to get on the trainer and ride. So way to go.
Wow, that's amazing. That's just next level. That's impressive, and hats off to
He's
that
probably
man.
asleep behind the sunglasses.
Just had his eyes closed the entire time, but his sponsor correct. And you don't have to worry about where you're going when you're on Echelon Racing League. You just pedal on the trainer really hard.
Really hard, like Skalou is doing right now off the front. Got a little bit of a gap on Godby here. Godby seems to be having a little bit of trouble just kind of getting into the rhythm, getting up onto that wheel, getting into the draft. Godby's not having trouble holding on to the wheel here. It's just about lining up the wattage and trying to keep it steady and constant up on the front. So these two will link up. I'm going to guess they ride together for most of the day today, very similar to what they did yesterday. And then I think the action is really going to be back in the race for third. Schumann, Wiseman, Ayala, O'Toole. You see all those names on the left-hand side of the screen. We'll be keeping an eye on that as well.
Agreed. Yeah, it's a little bit more dynamic course, so it may be slightly more difficult for these two to kind of get into that rhythm like we were talking about from yesterday, how it looked a little bit more smooth. Yeah, we've got the hill today and a little bit of downhill. You're going to be cruising down at 50k an hour. So yeah, a little bit different dynamic course today. But yeah, these two are already off the front.
Now Schumann has a little bit of space here. the teammate of Skalu. The Germans having a good ride today.
Yeah, I think they would love to have Schumann up there as well to kind of 1-2 Jackie as much as they could, or at least have Shalau sit on, or Schumann. I'm not quite sure who's the sprinter here or who's going to be the stronger of the two today, but they would definitely want to stack that break a bit to try and knock down Godby somewhat. I mean, she's such a strong athlete. What do you do to beat her? And this is what they try and do, is bring another across.
You can see Schumann doing a significant amount of work here. Her power numbers go into the red, 7.5 watts per kilo for her, as Godby and Skalau kind of hover right around 3.5 there. So Schumann definitely doing the work to try to go across the gap here. For the Beast Mode presented by Rose team, wants to go up and join her teammate. And that would probably be enough to actually put Jackie Godby on notice a little bit. If you get two teammates up there in the breakaway with you, that's not as easy as things have been for Jackie Godby.
Correct, but it looks like she's in no man's land and not really making much ground to those two in the front.
Yeah, when we talk about a bridge, I mean, if you don't see that gap closing immediately, like if you don't see that number start to come down in the first minute or 2 minutes of that effort, it's pretty clear that that may be a wasted effort here. And I'm wondering if Schumann might be realizing that here as she drops her wattage a little bit down closer to 3.5 or 4 that Godby and Skalu are doing. All right, so Godby and Skalu riding away. Let's go over and check in on our para race. This is Brooks and Kilgore on the front. Kilgore, our winner yesterday, so he's sitting right on the wheel of Brooks here. So these two going to try and lock in as long as they can in our paracycling competition here.
Yeah, Kilgore yesterday just kind of rode away with it, so it'll be interesting to see if these two can work together and how that competition will be today.
You can see how it slows them down through the corners a little bit. That is the realistic physics of RGT. And now Brooks doing a nice job jumping into the draft here of Kilgore. There is Mr. Brooks for the Paralyzed Veterans of America Racing Team. PVA has been a huge part of bringing para racing into the Echelon Racing League. And is also helping develop the very first para bikes on RGT. Those are going to be in game here in the next few weeks. We're going to see them before the end of the Echelon Racing Season 2 here, so I'm really excited to see those in the game. We talk about how representation matters in racing, and for paracyclists being able to have those bikes that really make them look like they do in real life, I think is going to be a really, really cool thing to see.
Yeah, I like the saying, if you see it, you can be it. It just embodies everything that is inclusivity. So, yeah, this is going to be a great addition to this Echelon Racing League platform.
Looks like Kilgore getting a little bit of space here over Brooks now. The separation that we saw yesterday, Kilgore finished alone. It looks like Brooks is going to try and stay on here for a little bit longer. They got 13.4K to go now. And there is Paul Kilgore. Paul also rocking the CAF kit. We see a lot of those riders around the country at various events. The Challenged Athletes Foundation, another great resource for para riders looking to get into the sport. And again, Paul going to be riding a modified para bike underneath them. Almost all of the para riders that we see will have some sort of unique modification on their bike to fit their personal needs. And that's going to be part of the new update with the new bikes in the game as well. And then this is our hand cycling race with Jackie Jones. I think Jackie had her camera on earlier today as well. There's Jackie. So you can see the hand cycling setup that Jackie has. It brings the essentially the bottom bracket up above the rider. And then that will have a long chain that goes to the front wheel, which is basically where the rear cassette would be on an able-bodied bike. A lot of times that is moved to the front. And then you see the modified cranks with handholds at the end to allow Jackie to pedal.
This is so cool to see, and again, a new platform for me, totally, and then to have this as well is just, I think this is so great. And the power that they can put out is impressive.
Yeah, Jackie creating over 100 watts with the arms only, which is not an easy thing to do. This is an entirely separate set of muscles that you have to train up. The skill that it takes for these hand cyclists is off the charts. So we'll keep our eye on Jackie as she continues to tap out her hand cycling race. Back up to the front of our elite women's field with 30K to go here. And it looks like Godby and Scalot have really locked in now. They got it figured out.
I feel like I'm watching yesterday's race all over again. But You know what? This is great. It's good to see that the two of them are up here. This is going to be a dynamic duo that we'll see throughout the season. Schumann definitely not giving up, trying to get across still, which is the valiant effort, to say the least, Brad.
Well, it's a whole lot bigger in front of her than it is behind her. 40 meters back to Wiseman, O'Toole, and Ayala. Got to give Schumann credit here, not giving up the chase. Certainly keeping the chasers on their toes. But she's going to need to move a little quicker to catch up to Godby and Scalot. There's Jackie Godby. Dr. Jackie Godby in her pain cave.
What was her thesis on again, Brad? Could you?
Peptide things. Peptide bonding.
Hydrogen, carbon.
Hold on, I just have to grab I'm looking through my stack of medical journals here. I can't remember which hers was in.
It's underneath.
Yes, hydrogen. How hydrogen bonding stiffens peptide amphiphile supramolecular filaments by azoglycine residues.
She's going to have to break that down in layman's terms for me if we interview her, please.
I'll send you the link.
Great.
She actually posted it on her Instagram when she went through her PhD and the thesis and all that and finally got it approved. She did post it. She said, for anyone who wants to learn more about the power of hydrogen bonding or just wants to see how I spend my time off the bike, here's the link to read it for free. It's on her Instagram.
Wow, that's cool. But is there a Google Translate for us not so smart people?
Yeah. All right, back to the chasers on screen right now. This is a good little group forming here, Lauren. A lot of familiar names from yesterday, but we'll call this Wiseman, Schumann in there, Ayala, and I think Carolus also got up in there, Real. And there's a pretty serious separation. It's about 500 meters behind these riders to the next group, so this is another separation that has happened in our elite women's field.
Yeah, again, I wonder if that hill is kind of playing a factor for some of these ladies, or if someone, I don't know, if someone's trying to put in an attack and keep this race animated.
Carolus locking in here. Setting steady tempo. So this group's got to be feeling pretty good. If you made this selection, you can feel pretty good about your chances of at least a podium because you're looking at third place in this group here. Eleanor Wiseman up on the front here, a new signing to the Project Echelon team. Wiseman rode last year for the Amy D Foundation squad and then was picked up by Project Echelon because she had such a good year in Season 1 of the Echelon Racing League. They brought her on to the Project Echelon women's squad. Eleanor Wiseman is also a PhD candidate, by the way.
Wow.
I do not know what she's working on her PhD in, though. I will.
It is good to see that Project Echelon has two teammates together in this newer break, we would call.
Yeah.
Emma O'Toole had gotten the call up now from the community, and here we are getting the stare into my soul from her Zoom.
That's a cave through and through. I mean, that is the definition of a cave that O'Toole is in here. Wow, Eleanor Wiseman, just doing a little bit of research. We were talking about her PhD earlier. Went to Yale, then was a associate at McKinsey, and then went back to UC Berkeley for her PhD. Holy moly.
What am I doing with my life? We are lucky to have these individuals in this sport.
Going to still find the time to train and keep this level of fitness up to be able to race in this league. Exceptional.
Agreed.
Good look at Aaron Ayala here. That Velocity Vixen team is a great program. Angie Bonacici, I think, is sort of at the helm of those Velocity Vixen riders. There's Aaron. She's changed the camera angle today. She didn't want to give away any nutrition secrets.
But we do see that she has a dog bed in the background, so we'd like to see Fido at some point. Yeah. A couple of different bike
stable
setups.
Of bikes, too. Yeah. We were talking earlier about the bike choice for some of the riders. Jackie Gobby on the time trial bike. I think Ayala is on a road bike here. Looks like she's on the tops, but some riders do prefer that time trial bike. I think a big part is being able to get down into the aero position. It's more comfortable when you can rest your forearms on the tops of those bars.
Definitely comfort is the name of the game on the trainer because it's a stagnant linear motion that you're in. You know, cycling already is such a linear sport, but now you're even more stationary. Your shoulders get extremely tight and your neck gets really tight on the trainer. For me, I know this from experience, but it's whatever can keep you the most comfortable on the trainer. And like we were talking earlier, plugged in, watching something, listening to something, the fan on, every stimulus possible. You got to have it all.
I will say one thing that really helped me on the trainer was getting just a little bit of movement on the bike. Saris makes like a floating platform. It's called the MP1 Infinity Trainer platform. And it kind of just allows you to float a little bit. You have a little bit of side to side, a little bit of front to back movement on your trainer. So it feels just a little bit less like you're stuck on a trainer. I really like it.
Gotcha. Yeah. I've never had the option to try that, but yeah, I imagine it does help every little bit of movement that you can get. It's
amazing how far the trainer technology has come as well. I think when a lot of us started on the trainer. I don't know how many of us started on the old like mag trainers, but these are not the old wind trainers of the olden days where you would lock the rear hub in, and then it sounds like a 747 taking off when you're trying to spin that fan on the back. These are a new style of trainer that most riders are using. A lot of them are on direct drive trainers at this point where it attaches directly to the rear cassette. They're much quieter and they're smart. That's the most important thing, is they can now connect to the computer, connect to the internet. They've got Bluetooth connectivity so that they can pass all that data back and forth and get it into the game. But if you ever rode an old trainer, you should really give a new trainer a shot, because it is significantly different from the old like fluid or mag trainers that you may have ridden.
I totally agree with you, Brad. And these smart trainers have been a savior since COVID now, to give us still to have that sense of community and conversation and connectivity with individuals. Even though we are alone in our homes or in our basements or whatever it is, we still have the opportunity to have a quote unquote group ride, which has been very nice.
Back to action on screen. Godby and Skalou in the left picture here. And then this battle for third on the right side of the screen, still brewing. Weissman, O'Toole, Schumann, Ayala. So this is really turning into a 2-for-1 special here. We got two different races today.
Brad, it seems Kilgore and Brooks are still kind of staying together as much as possible. Less than 7K to go now. Good to see these two guys working well, or at least sticking together.
And then you see Jackie Jones on the left-hand side of the screen we watched earlier. So Para on the right, hand cycling on the left. There's a difference in the machines that they ride. The hand cyclists will bring the bike, the pedals up top, basically up above them, sort of floating above their chest, forward of them, I guess. And then paracycling are the slightly different bikes. It's really based on how the bike is powered, I guess. And then inside of paracycling, we have different levels of ability: H1, H2, H3 for hand cyclists, and then C categories for paracyclists: C1, C2, C3, based on their varying ability levels. So that's why we have separate hand cycling and paracycling races, because in real life they race in separate categories, and so we made sure that they had separate categories on RGT as well.
Jackie Jones is running a nice high heart rate, about 170. That's a good effort today. I just like that name too, Jackie Jones. You gotta say it with some flair, some sass.
A little bit of oomph. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jackie on the steepest part of the course right now. You see in the up right corner of her race cam, 7% gradient right now, which on a hand cycle is ridiculous. It is so hard to climb on the hand cycles because your weight is so low down to the ground, and then it really starts dragging you back when you get on steep parts of the climb. Going up to 8% here, over 8%. And Jackie crushing it, powering through here.
Let's go, Jackie Jones! Yes!
You can imagine how painful that is. And then look how quickly the tempo picks up as Jackie goes up and over the climb. So this is what we were talking about with the smart trainers earlier. It adjusts the resistance that the riders face. And so Jackie can start pedaling faster now because she's come off of that climb and is now on to the descent. So you start to see the cadence pick up a little bit. Looks like the heart rate drops a little bit of a chance to recover. And Jackie's back to it. Back to our pro women's chasers: O'Toole, Schumann, Ayala, Wiseman. Sounds like a law firm you don't want to get a letter from.
I don't know what to say to that, but you're right.
You know when you see like 4 names on the outside of the envelope and you're like, oh, this isn't good.
Or it's got your big check in there.
Right, that could be too. I'm still waiting on mine.
Think positive, Brad. Think positive.
Well, wondering if Godby and Skalou will try and split at all today. I would say probably not. I think based on what we saw yesterday, these two probably push themselves and each other to the limit for the next 20K of racing, and then I think they just sprint it out of that last corner. I think Skalou tries to adjust a little bit from yesterday, but I don't think she wants to try to beat Jackie Godby early here. Maybe. She might try and go at like a K or 1.5 kilometers out, something like that, try and catch Godby off guard, but I don't think that's how you're going to beat Jackie Godby. If you're going to beat Jackie, I think you got to do it in a sprint.
Yeah, when we saw earlier, trying to get her teammate across to assist Shalou and to working and trying to beat Godby somehow. I think that kind of tells you that Shalou, I would think, may want to wait and try another sprint. And I think also this course is just going to wear on them over time. So I think they're going to try and stick together as much as possible, not attack each other. I could be completely wrong, but that's just me guessing right now.
That's all we can do right now. Back to Schumann on the wheel of Aaron Ayala.
So after yesterday questioning myself if I had coached Erin, I in fact had. She sent me a text. I had helped them at America's Dairyland, as a matter of fact. And I think she ended up with the jersey that week, which was super exciting. I was proud to be a part of that and honored to be able to help these ladies in achieving their goals. And so I'm excited that Erin is back today racing and excited to see what she can do at the finish again. That was such an impressive sprint finish. It's like she had rocket boosters on that bike. It was so cool.
Yeah, the way she came through the group was exceptional.
She's
Do you see
really
how calm
strong
Ayala is too? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Just in coaching her and also seeing her in person those years prior. I think she came from triathlon. I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe she can send me another text today because hopefully I'm here all season. But she just got stronger and stronger as the week that we coached went on, and then throughout the Crit Series, she just got stronger as well. And I think just the same as in real life racing, same on the platform. She'll just get better and better as the weeks go by.
Ayala getting out of the saddle here, getting a little aggressive. And I think that's because she saw this hill coming, wanted to get to it. A little bit of sag climbing on the virtual platform as well. You want to attack that hill before it becomes a problem.
Right, and then you coast down 50K an hour, have a little bit of separation, decrease your field size, increase your chances of getting on the podium.
Looks like they got some riders coming up behind them, but I think that's going to be lap traffic. I don't think they have to worry about anyone coming back into the group here.
Yeah,
back into their group, I should say, yeah.
Right. What Erin and Schumann are going to have to worry about is that O'Toole has a teammate, Wiseman, there. So towards the end of the race, I would expect those two teammates to probably start attacking that group, just like you would if you were at the front of the race trying to get that podium spot. So, maybe Erin's trying to drop one of those riders and increase her chances.
back up to the front. 3 watts per kilo, sort of the average that they're sitting at, a little above that. Is that a comfortable place to be? I mean, what is a 3 watt per kilo effort like, Lauren, relatively speaking?
Come on, now you're asking a sprinter. Look, I want to do 1 watt per kilo until I got to do all the watts per kilo.
Okay, all right.
You know, like endurance is about 2 watts per kilo. That's something that you can ride. You should be able to ride like for hours, right? So these ladies doing 3 watts per kilo is kind of race pace. It's just something that they're going to be able to do for a good solid hour, and they're going to feel this afterwards. So, you know, it'd be fun to see what they were doing yesterday. What, you know, and I know it was on the results, but I don't remember seeing this, but, you know, it's not easy, but it's not all out. Good to see that Jackie's got some assistance there.
I think that is John Cooper, who we saw racing in the men's race earlier, Jackie's husband.
She says
think
somebody's
Jackie
got
and
to carry the weight of this relationship.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think they just got married, actually. I think they got married in the last year or so. I could be wrong on that, but at some point, John went from fiance to husband during the Echelon Racing League season, I think. Yeah. And they're both doctors.
So you're saying I wouldn't really have much to add to the conversation at dinner.
As long as the topic doesn't move to peptide bonding, I'm sure you'll be fine. You're an interesting person. Skaloo into the red zone here. 6 watts per kilo. Not sure what that was about. Guess just trying to get over that hill. I love that they even had the super tuck into RGT for Jackie Godby there. I have to give my disclaimer, that's best left to the video game characters. Don't try this at home, kids.
No, don't try it at home. 1, you'll be fine. You can't even do that in racing anyway. So you might as well not do it in training.
Almost pedal stroke for these two. Cadence a little lower back here. I noticed Godby up at the front was doing like 84 rotations per minute, 85, somewhere around there. A lot of these riders are in the 70s. We're following Eleanor Wiseman right here doing 71, 72 RPMs.
Yeah, it could be a little bit course dependent, but more settled in with this group almost, because they kind of attacked each other a couple of times, or it kind of looked like they attacked each other. I don't want to say that they did,
Yep.
but you know, maybe pushing it, as I should say, over the hill, and so they kind of settle in when they get a chance and slowing down slightly. But yeah, where you have Jackie and Shalao up front that are just kind of steady over the climb and on the descents.
Nice look at all the different setups here. Look at Eleanor Wiseman, top of the screen.
That's exactly what I was going to say. She looks like she's hurting a little bit more than some of the others.
Yeah.
Emma O'Toole doesn't look like she's hurting at all. She's hurting my soul.
Yeah, all looked good. She was on the phone. Looked like she was checking her crypto investments or something.
Well, I would imagine that Eric is probably talking to them and directing them, per se, as he was the men earlier.
Yeah.
Giving them words of wisdom.
Well, these four now playing the waiting game for the next 16 kilometers. Looks like they're going to lock in and get a little rematch from yesterday as well. And then this is the group behind them. Haig, Carolus, Real, Miller, and Krohn in this group as well. And then Erska Corrent a little farther back out of that group. Oh, Baker also in here, the Canadian for Project Echelon Racing, as they go up and over the hill here and then back down. All right, so it looks like our para rider is about to finish up here. So let's go check in with our para race as Kilgore and Brooks still together as they go inside the last 500 meters of racing. Kilgore going to go into the red zone. Brooks in the red too. This is going to be a nice 2-up drag race to the line for these two at the end of our para race. Brooks, Kilgore both into the red zone. At 3:50 to go. Brooks moves into the lead. Kilgore still hasn't gone red.
Again, it's a long way
Brooks.
to that finish on this drag.
Yep. A little bit of an uphill drag here as well. It's only 1.4%, but that's enough to feel it as Michael Brooks moves ahead. Opens up 20 meters over Kilgore. And now he's got the line in sight. As Brooks going to lock it in, a new winner on day 2 of the Echelon Racing League. And Kilgore will hit the line in second in our paracycling competition. Good one out there today. They stuck together all day, but Brooks got the separation in the last 100 meters or so. Back to our chase group up above there, and then back to our leaders at the front here, Godby and Scalou. Godby's average watt per kilo dropping just a little bit here. She's keeping it at 2.5, 2.6-ish.
So steady.
That is such a hard skill to learn, how to apply constant, steady power to your bike. It's a really, really hard thing to do.
10 out of 10 amateurs will push overly hard to the top of the hill and then coast down the backside of the hill. But again, yeah, it's just a learn. I'm not laughing at them. It is a very much a learned skill that takes time and effort, and it is teachable.
I remember the first time I heard someone tell me to ride through the hill or ride over the hill. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I just rode up the hill and now I need a rest. But yeah, they really teach you to continue that power all the way up and over. And I even hear a lot of coaches talk about just, you want to keep your power steady and then just change your gearing to adjust to make sure that your power stays steady and let your speed change, but try and keep your power as steady as you can.
Exactly. Wow.
So Godby is working through this chase group right here. This is the group racing for third place. Godby and Scalou have now gone a lap up. So they just caught the back of this group and went through them. And I'm going to imagine they probably keep the separation going. I think they're moving just a kilometer to an hour faster than the riders back in the group. So they'll keep separating here. But Godby and Scalou have now gone a lap up.
Yeah, and while we were talking a minute ago about hills and our abilities, Scalou kind of put an effort in on that downhill, which I found a bit surprising because I would think you would probably have, Godby would be able to have more of a draft on that downhill, and then you see she's pushing again up and over the climb. So I wonder if Schalou's trying to put a little bit more pressure on Godby just to kind of test the legs a bit.
I have to wonder the riders back in the race for third are kind of doing the same thing, trying to test each other, figure out who's still feeling good after yesterday.
And also testing the platform of knowing when you physically put out power and when your avatar puts out power and what that difference is and that delay.
That was what Kevin Bouchard-Hall said in his interview. It wasn't about the wattage today. It was about timing and knowing how the game is played. It was about strategy for Kevin Bouchard-Hall, our men's winner today. So, again, you can have all the power in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, it doesn't do you much good.
Exactly. You got to know how to play the game.
And you see that on the results, too. We were talking about how we show the average watts per kilo for the riders on the results list. A lot of times, it's not the highest watts per kilo at the top of the results. You'll see riders that were more efficient that have a lower watts per kilo but are still higher on the results because they were able to draft, they were able to use that power more efficiently. And so you can see a rider with 4 or 5 watts per kilo in first, and then second place will have 6 or 7, and it's like, well, they put out more power. How did they lose? Well, they put power in the wrong place. That's the problem.
And that's the name of game. The name of the game of cycling is he or she with the least amount of power output will usually come out ahead in a crit race or in a road race based on how they can finish, of course. But yeah, usually it's those who do the least amount of work have the best results.
It's the kind of sport I can get behind where you get rewarded for laziness. It's my kind of sport.
Well, kinda, not necessarily. Yeah.
The term is efficiency. See, if you don't call it laziness, if you call it efficiency, then all of a sudden it's a whole different ball game.
It's acceptable.
You know the old saying as a cyclist, if you're running, you should be walking. If you're walking, you should be standing. If you're standing, you should be sitting. If you're sitting, you should be laying down. And if you're laying down, you should be taking a nap, recovering for the next day.
Exactly.
$10.3K to go for Godby and Skaloo in the upper left-hand corner. $12K to go for our chasers down in the bottom right. I don't think there's going to be any separation out of the back of the chasers. I'm going to guess they stay together as well. And man, watching Godby and Skaloo lock in like this is a master class in riding. It's hard to do in real life to hold a wheel and to like not overlap wheels and keep it, but it's even harder on RGT to do what Skaloo is doing right here, locked in right behind Godby. That's not an easy thing to do.
Exactly. And, I'm kind of surprised to see that these two were going to be off the front all day like this. I was expecting more from the group. And like I said, this is just me announcing and having no idea being on the trainer or what to expect. But they must have just gone so hard from the beginning that nobody could stick on their wheel. So, but yeah, this is really great to see these two just kind of working together. They're going to stay out, they're going to be out, and to be efficient as possible as they are doing right now, it is, like you said, they know how to play the game.
All right, these two locked in, 9.4K to go. The chasers behind them as we go inside of 10 kilometers to the line. We're going to take a short break here, get our commercials out of the way, and then when we come back, we're with you all the way to the finish in the Echelon Racing League Season 2 in East Tosa Village.
My husband's parents were visiting, and I promised them a home-cooked meal, except my boss had a different idea. He tells me, hold your horses. I call my husband and I say, I'm slammed, and he's like, Quick Trip, and I'm like, bingo. At Quick Trip, I say, what's good tonight? And the Quick Trip guy is like, everything, but I go for the hand-breaded fried chicken, and I go, make that ×4. Being none the wiser, my mother-in-law is like, I always said she's a keeper. I'll run with that.
Quick Trip, we got you covered.
Come on, move. Of course, there aren't any spots. few minutes won't hurt anybody. Thanks, Grandma.
Paralyzed Veterans of America works tirelessly every day to create a more accessible America. Let's leave the accessible spaces to the people who actually need them. Whatever the reason, excuses don't excuse. Join PVA and be part of the solution. Honor the spot.
Or
188.
wow. Now we're looking at her heart rate in the upper left here, pushing up to 190, 191. It was hovering around 175, so Jackie Jones is all in here inside her last 200 meters of racing. Oh man, big power here for Jackie too. She was doing about 100 watts earlier, and now she's up to 125. She was pushing 130 earlier. All the way through, in, and done for Jackie Jones, Paralyzed Veterans of America Racing. Nice job, Jackie. And I love the European Wauwatosa sign that she pulls over next to. We are in the virtual East Wauwatosa Village here, part of Tour of America's Dairyland. That's what this course is based off of, and part of the RGT graphics package is those very European signs on the side of the road.
Can you say that 3 times fast? Wow. Wauwatosa.
That's why they call it Tosa, or Tosa Village.
Now I know.
Gabi and Skaloo going to pick up some lap traffic up ahead of them here as well. I noticed they do go into the red zone in the upper left corner of the screen. Both riders going full red zone on the way up the climb. And then they relax a little bit on the way down. They go past Corrette and Nelson.
Brad, they're not afraid to go hard and just to kind of test their own limits. I mean, every time they've gone around this, that hill, just about, it seems like they go in the red every single time. And I don't know if that's just the course making you do that, but I feel like, I mean, the heart rate's pretty high, the watts are there, the effort's there. I think they're just testing each other lap after lap.
Meanwhile, Ayala looking to close a little bit of a gap here, as it looks like Wiseman and Schumann give themselves a little bit of separation in the race for third down here. Now, some of this is going to be because of the hill. We talked about the importance of this hill on the course throughout the day today, but we're finally getting some separation back here in this race for third. So Schumann and Wiseman will go clear. Ayala into the tuck here trying to hold on, and then Emma O'Toole will come forward as Ayala going to jump on her wheel.
attrition. That's the name of the game today, up and over this climb, lap after lap after lap for an hour after they had raced yesterday, loaded their legs. Coming back today, it's just going to wear on them until the finish.
These riders coming back, getting back together. Schumann's still away up the road. Let's get another look at Aaron Ayala here. And here's Ayala trying to bring back Schumann with the Wiseman and O'Toole next to her.
Aaron, spin to win, spin to win. 60 cadence, come on now. Oh, that's Emma O'Toole. But still, look at the cadence that Aaron's pushing right now in the Zoom chat. Just loading the legs.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a personal preference for most riders, right? Some riders like to push a bigger gear with a lower cadence. Some riders like a smaller gear with a higher cadence. It's personal preference, I guess.
I guess. I ran compact gearing my entire career, and I was a sprinter, and people couldn't believe that. But yeah, I would max out in a sprint at 100 RPM. I could also put out 1,300 watts in a sprint, just in case you were wondering, Brad. I don't know what you can do.
$12.99 on a good day. Schumann out of the saddle here, onto the climb. You can see her bike moves a little bit. I think she might have one of the floating trainers. See how you can see her sort of left brake lever moving back and forth a little bit.
Do you think that's any advantage to the racing platform? I mean, I guess it could be because of the physics of literally going back and forth and pulling on the bars instead of just straight up and down.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know if it has, I don't know if it would affect the power, but it certainly affects the comfort. It's all those, like, the touch points that you talked about. Your neck gets stiff, your wrist, your arms, that kind of stuff. I think that's what it solves. So it makes it, you're just more comfortable, you're less stiff on the bike. But I'm sure there is some efficiency as well to being able to lean into the, each pedal stroke, being able to use those arms to get a couple more watts out of each pedal stroke. Yeah, I'm sure there's an element of that.
So Shalal and Godby down to their last 3.5K. Been a great race for these two so far in the last 2 days.
Yeah, I cannot wait for the rest of this season. This is going to be an awesome battle to watch, and Scalau committed to the rest of the season along with Godby. So this will not be the last time that we see these two link up. It won't be the last time that we see this battle. A little more separation back in the chasers. Looks like Ayala finds herself alone. Doing red zone power here. I think she's trying to get up to Schumann. She's about to make it. So more separation back in that chase group. Looks like O'Toole, Wiseman, and Haig might be in a little bit of trouble.
Obliterated
Schumann
the
and
rest of
Ayala
that
go clear,
peloton.
yeah.
Who has that effort over and over and over again, and the drag to the finish? You think you get over the hill and you think that's it, but no, it just kind of drags and just wears you down. It's like a slow rolling road, that chip seal road that you just think, are my brakes rubbing? Like, what's going on? Something can't be right. It's just the road just takes it out of you, and you turn around and you look and it's like, oh, well, no wonder I'm going slightly uphill. I can't see it, but if I turn around and kind of take in the sight behind me, there, okay, I was going uphill this whole time.
Yep, and that is exactly what it looks like in East Tosa Village. When you look back at that finish line or back at that part of the course, it doesn't feel like it when you're on it, but Yeah, when you look at the course, oh no, Ayala, I saw the power drop out there as well in the upper left corner, but she was just zeroing it out. She was stopping the power as she goes through the corner. That was the game. So you also see in her upper left corner where it shows the number in red right now, that doesn't mean she's in the red zone. That means she's wasting watts. So that has to do with the drafting graphic below. So for Erin Ayala right now, who's in second position, when that top left number goes into the red, that means that she's doing more watts than she needs to, and the game is essentially just washing out those extra watts. So helps you be more efficient and try and lower that watt per kilo number that we talked about for your average.
Hey, that's a cool aspect of the game, is just to have that extra, almost like coach-like in real time right there saying, hey, you don't have to pedal right now.
All right, Godby and Skalou back under the start-finish arch, and they're going to be heading out for their final lap. 1.5K of racing to go. Up a quick 4% gradient. And I have a feeling this racing starts right now. Yeah, they're going to stay in the red zone here for probably a good portion of this last lap as they go to 1.4K here. Can anybody upset Jackie Godby, the queen of the Echelon Racing League? Skalou came close yesterday.
Skalou.
Yep. She's got a rematch today. Just waiting for one rider to jump at 1K to go here. It's a pretty sharp turn out of the last corner as well. It's more than 90 degrees. So if you've been figuring the game out in 90-degree corners and all of a sudden this one at 110, it's going to take you a little longer to get through that power curve that shaves power off through the corners. So that'll affect the finishing sprint. Yep.
Yeah, how long that finishing sprint is and that drag. I mean, we've seen racing today, you know, you can't go too early.
And here we go. Godby still in green, Skalou in blue. This is a classic standoff situation. They're both just waiting for the other one to go. Inside 500 meters now as they go under 450. Godby into the yellow, just lifting the tempo a little bit, testing. This is like a track match sprint on RGT here.
Yeah, you gotta keep the power on.
Yep. Now Godby goes red. We'll see how long it takes Skalou to respond. Here she goes at 250 meters. Skalou going to move into the lead, try and take it to Godby. Godby responds back into the red. She moves ahead. Doing 600 watts for Skalou now, but Godby will get away and stay away in the last 200 meters as Jackie Godby picks up 2 in a row here in the Echelon Racing League.
What a finish. Well, I mean, you know, Skalou, she's getting closer, though. I think she's figuring out the game, figuring out Godby, figuring out how to play this, how to do it, the what's left of Godby. But man, Godby just comes out with another ace in the hole, doesn't she?
And then the race for third back here. It's only 2 riders in the running here. Schumann and Ayala are the 2 riders in this group that are eligible for third. The other riders are a lap down. It's going to be like from 6th place on down, starting with Miller. So it's Schumann in the white jersey up on the front, and then the purple and orange of Velocity Vixen is going to be the jersey of Erin Ayala. Those are the 2 riders in this shot that are eligible for third place as they've come up on some lap traffic as well. So there you see Ayala with 4 next to her name, Schumann with 3 next to her name. They don't need to worry about the other riders in here unless they want to use them for a draft.
And yeah, Schumann's definitely going to want to round out the podium for her teammate. But I'm waiting for Ayala to hit the rocket boosters again for this finish.
The patented Erin Ayala sprint up the middle that we saw yesterday. We're hoping to see that again today as Ayala gets to the front, heading out on their final lap of racing. Here's Schumann going as well. And these two going to stay in the red much longer than we saw with Godby up on the front.
Schumann's just going to go from the hill.
Just trying to do a 1K effort from the line here. For Gabrielle Schumann. Again, trying to lock in third place. Here comes Ayala, though. She's got her in sight right behind it. Ayala just will not give up.
Just dragging it back so slowly.
And I'm sure Ayala would like to get there and close down that gap so she can get into the draft. That's why she's going in the red zone here.
Yeah, especially.
Or does Schumann get it right?
An hour.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Ayala's going to bring her back at the perfect time.
Oh, Ayala into the corner, makes the catch. On the wheel and then sits there, just waiting. 500 meters to go for Ayala now. Lose the wheel a little bit. I think Ayala's still in the catbird seat here.
I agree, Brad. I think she's sitting in a good spot and can get a little bit of rest and respite right now before this final turn, and then a good drag to the finish for her.
Schumann tries to open it again. Ayala quick to respond as they go inside 150 meters to go. Now Ayala opens up the sprint. She's trying to time it perfectly like she did yesterday. Is she going to run out of real estate? It's going to be close.
Whoa!
She did it. Ayala got it. Another third place for Erin Ayala in the Velocity Vixen team.
Whoa! She kept that one a little bit closer than yesterday, but wow! Again, what a good finish. What a good sprint by Ayala.
Such a great finisher. Exceptional finish from Erin Ayala today. Here's Emma O'Toole on her way in for fifth, as Schumann will have to settle for fourth. And it looks like O'Toole going to be good for the wide-angle podium spot on the day. She'll take fifth place.
Another good battle, though. I mean, Ayala and Schumann, that was such a good battle. Schumann tried from the hill, kept attacking. Ayala just kept responding, sat on the wheel right when it counted, and then had like the perfect sprint. I think she's definitely getting this down real quick.
All right, so back to Haig in sixth, Miller in seventh, Baker in eighth, Carolus in ninth, and Real in 10th, rounding out our top 10 right now. As she goes inside the last 650 meters to the line.
Again, beast mode kind of stacking the day. Stacking the top 10. Haig coming around the corner for the last 100 meters into the finish.
And she'll go red zone all the way through. It's Baker. Slips through it just the last minute to take Haig on the line. Stone cold.
Oh, son of a, never saw her coming.
And then Real rounds out our top 10. All right, so all 10 in. Let's see if we can go over to Zoom and grab a word with our race winner, Jackie Godby.
Emma, you're now 2 for 2 in the season so far. How does this win feel? How is this win different from your win yesterday?
It actually felt a lot like yesterday in terms of the head-to-head battle. with number 2 after taking an early lead. The hill definitely changed it. I think it changed the dynamics of our matchup. We were hitting much more that 30-second sprint pace. Who can get to the top, rather than these sort of long, drawn-out VO2 matchups. But it was another very, very fun race. I really love when you're able to just get in comfortable with another rider and really have a head-to-head matchup. That is some of the most fun racing, because you're very focused. You're really trying to get inside their head, at the same time getting inside your own head, trying to push the game. And it's really fun. It's chess on a bike. So another really, really fun race that motivates me to keep going this season and have a lot of fun.
And something that's different within virtual racing compared to in real life racing is the game mechanics. How do you use the in-game physics to your advantage?
So, I think this race today at Toad was a really great demonstration of how watts per kilogram is not the ultimate metric when it comes to cycling. I know that's what we have on a lot of the heads-up displays. Everybody's always trying to improve their watts per kilo, watts per kilo, watts per kilo. And today we saw that watts per kilo works great when you're going on an uphill. And Skalou, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I've only ever seen her name on screen. She really had the advantage. She pushed that advantage. She punched that advantage. And once I got to the top, all of a sudden my extra 19 kilograms meant that I could really ride the way down. So we both rode very, very different races. I think we both rode very, very well. And like I said, it was a fun, motivating chess game with, I think, honestly, one of the best e-racers in the business.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jackie. Congratulations on this win, and we'll see you next time. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much. See you guys soon.
Well, the best in the business for sure. What a matchup that was between those two. I had a special viewer join me for the last kilometer of racing. She heard the action and came over to watch.
Come
I'm playing
on, Brad.
babysitter
Where did
this
you
weekend.
No, but
Just borrowing
Jackie just Jackie just called that right. One, she doesn't need to apologize, because I imagine we're butchering Skalou's name as well, or Shalou, or however you say it. We apologize, and she'll probably correct us at some point on social media. But talking about playing the game, the metrics of the platform and how to figure it out, and how her race was probably completely different than Shalou's race was today. So it's good to see her excitement, her awareness, and just, again, talking about bike racing is a chess game. So true.
Well, you heard Jackie talk about the watts per kilo. Let's take a look at where she ended up on the day, because she was talking about the efficiency of the watts per kilo, and look at that. Only did 4.17 watts compared to Julia Skalou's 4.94. Erin Ayala had a super efficient day back there. 3.23 watts per kilo, one of the lowest inside the top 10. So just goes to show you, Lauren, efficiency is key in the Echelon Racing League. That's going to be a key factor over the next few weeks of racing.
Agreed. Seeing that Erin is a quick learner, picking up the game pretty fast, and then to see Beast Mode stack the top 10 again. A good result by that team as well.
Well, then you see Schumann, O'Toole, Baker, Haig. Kimberly Miller got up for Beast Mode, presented by Rose in 8th, along with her teammate Carolus in 9th, and then Jennifer Real of Triple X Racing Atletico rounding out the top 10. They get 1 and 10 with Godby and Real. Another great program. And then Project Echelon also with 2 in 5 and 6 up there. And then, of course, Erin Ayala, another 3rd for the Velocity Vixen team. Well, we're going to have a chance to see more of these rematches as racing continues in the Echelon Racing League for season number 2. We're headed to the Gateway Cup next as we wrap up this weekend of racing with Indy Crit and Tour of America's Dairyland. We'll have 2 races that weekend with Gateway Cup and the Iron Horse Bicycle Classic, so you'll get to see these 2 go at it again. Again, that's December 18th and 19th, and of course, we'll also have our community calendar races in the week before as well. So, Lauren, wrapping up our first weekend of Season 2 of the Echelon Racing League, I'd say things are going pretty well. We are in for a good year of virtual racing this year.
Yeah, it's a heck of a kickoff so far, and I've enjoyed the racing these last 2 days. Dynamic racing, good finishes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the 18th and 19th, and can't wait to see you guys there.
Well, congratulations to all of our competitors and, of course, our two winners today in our Elite Women's and Elite Men's race, our para and hand cycling winners as well. That's going to do it for us from weekend number 1 of Echelon Racing League Season 2. For Lauren Hall, my name is Brad Soner saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here for Gateway Cup December 18th.